Hi, everybody. Welcome again. We're with the science category as we did yesterday, as we started yesterday. And we're talking about why can't we ignore a crying baby?
没有错，这是我们昨天跟各位所介绍过的。那我们今天要继续介绍这个婴儿哭声。那昨天的话，主要是介绍在说它会启动我们脑袋的一个机制，那个区域的话是跟我们情绪还有这个奖励机制有关，所以我们会起身去做点什么。在生物学上，还有在社会学上，这个婴儿哭声都有一些功能。那我们今天呢，顺便会特别说明一下这个婴儿哭泣的原因，还有其他相关的主题。我们好好来看一看这个主题吧。
Why can't we ignore a crying baby? New parents are taught that when a baby cries, the first thing to consider is its comfort. In other words, make sure the baby is not in pain or an uncomfortable position. If everything seems all right, the baby is possibly hungry or making a bowel movement. The baby may also just be tired or need attention. If the baby cries for no obvious reason, it's likely that they are suffering from a condition called colic. When babies are crying and the reasons aren't clear, try picking them up and rocking them gently. Walking around with them may calm them as their focus is drawn to the motion or changing environment. Speaking to babies in a soft voice can also be effective. Other methods include giving babies a warm bath to help them relax, or wrapping the baby in a blanket to give them a sense of security. Typically, babies who are recently born cry a lot. On average, babies cry about 2 hours a day for the first 3 months. The crying usually begins to decrease after the first 6 weeks. As a parent or caregiver, it is important to be patient and pay attention to a baby's needs and feelings.
Okay, our first paragraph for day 2 in our science category. New parents are taught that when a baby cries, the first thing to consider is its comfort. Well, we have to consider, am I just going to sit here and listen to the crying baby for 20 minutes and then it will go to sleep? Or am I going to try to do something about it? Now, young or new parents, really, who has this experience until you've actually had a baby and you become a new mother or a new father? So the first thing doctors and grandparents tell young adults who are now young mothers or fathers is check out the baby. Is it comfortable or not?
没有错。所以呢，今天就告诉我们说，今天如果你刚好看到这个你的 baby 在哭了，你要怎么去处置？你要怎么去处理他婴儿会哭的原因是什么？然后你看第一句话要说 ，New parents are taught that， 好，很多的新手父母呢都被教导说怎么样 ？When a baby cries, the first thing to consider is its comfort. 好，如果说今天 baby 在哭的话，第一个你要去考虑到，你会想到说，会不会是 baby 不舒服啊？你要考虑到这个 baby 的这个舒适的程度。这个 comfort 这个字呢，它是名词。好，我相信各位都很熟悉 comfortable。那我们把它后面的 table 拿掉 ，comfort 就是舒适的意思。
In other words, make sure the baby is not in pain or an uncomfortable position. So the cry will bring you to the baby, and you can sometimes just tell by looking. It may have rolled over on an arm, and it feels or it doesn't have a blanket anymore and feels cold. You can see right away in many cases that the problem is outside the baby or with the baby's position or something like that. Position is the situation of how, in this case, of how the body is lying comfortably, or maybe a pillow is keeping it from breathing easily. You can tell just by looking that this crying baby has a physical problem and so is uncomfortable.
Yeah, 没有错，他就告诉你更细节的部分呢。他说啊 ，in other words，也就是说呢 ，make sure the baby is not in pain，要确保这个小朋友不是这样在痛啊 ，or an uncomfortable position， 或是睡的姿势啊不太舒服。有的时候小朋友还不会翻身的时候，你可能他压到自己的手了，然后自己在那边痛，也没有办法翻回来，这时候你就是要去顾他一下。Position 的话，这边指的就是位置，好 ，in an uncomfortable position， 就是他的这个身体的这个位置呢，并不是很舒服，可能压到自己了，或是让自己那个枕头碰到没有办法呼吸了，各种情况。
If everything seems all right, the baby is possibly hungry or making a bowel movement. So after you check out the baby, okay, she's on her back and she has a blanket. There's no reason for her to feel uncomfortable. Maybe the problem is that the baby is hungry. Babies get hungry every couple of hours. We only get hungry every couple of minutes. So the other reason that's very common is the baby is uncomfortable because of a bowel movement. This is the release of urine or feces, shit. Feces, F-E-C-E-S, that's what the doctors or the scientists call it. While babies are doing that, they're not used to this yet. They're not used to a lot of things yet, including temperature, the position that we just talked about. They have to learn to get used to things. But actually, they may have gas, and that does not help them with their bowel movement, the release of this waste material from the body.
没错，没错。小朋友的话，常常会有那种胃胀气的问题，可能要按摩他的腹部啊，等等各式各样的这种情况哦。他说这句话说 ，If everything seems alright， 如果整体上看来都没什么大问题的话 ，the baby is possibly hungry。好，说不定这个小朋友呢是饿了 ，or making a bowel movement。这个 making a bowel movement 的话，意思就是他可能排便了，或是尿了，你要帮他换尿布了，这样的意思哦。老师刚刚用到 feces。就是那个粪便的意思，这个字的话，基本上都是听起来比较专业那种 medical terms， 会比较会听到粪便。平常的话，其实就是讲到粪便，可能排便了或是排尿了，你要帮他换尿布。
The baby may also just be tired or need attention. Babies can get bored. Would you like to lie on your back for 12 hours? Some days that might seem nice, but babies will feel uncomfortable if they're in the same position for a long time, or maybe they're bored. They're used to being held and talked to and maybe even sung to, and they want this again.
没错，所以有的时候你会听到小朋友会假哭哦，会叫你说，来注意我一下嘛，对不对？这边你就看到了 ，the baby may also just be tired， 可能累了啦，好，或者在闹觉，OK，or need attention， 或是需要你的特别的关注啊，等等，他们都有机会这样一直哭，练练嗓子这样。
If the baby cries for no obvious reason, obvious is clear, simple, direct. You can tell right away if something is obvious. It's likely, the baby's crying is likely, that they are suffering from a condition called colic. A condition here refers to something going on with your body. If you have a cold, that's a condition which will cause a sore throat, a runny nose, a headache, but in this case, there are some babies who are naturally uncomfortable for no obvious reason, and the doctor will tell you, oh, your baby has colic, here's what you can do.
所以在这边的话，他就告诉你说了 ，If the baby cries for no obvious reason， 好，这边的话 obvious 就是指显而易见的，外表上看起来如果没有什么特别显而易见的原因的话呢 ，it's likely that 就是很有可能是什么情况 ？They're suffering from a condition， 他们正好 suffering from 就是因为某一种状况而感到不适，好不舒服 ，suffering 就是受苦受难的意思。好，这个 condition called colic， 好 ，colic 就是腹绞痛，他可能的话，你要带他去看医生，医生告诉你他腹绞痛的情况下，你该怎么做。
Welcome back. All right, let's get busy. When babies are crying and the reasons aren't clear, try picking them up and rocking them gently. This sounds like, oh, that's too easy. But remember, sometimes babies need attention, and it doesn't mean that you just talk to the baby. The baby can't understand what you're saying, but they certainly understand physical comfort. And if you're holding the baby, yeah, go ahead and sing or talk to the baby, but it's actually the feeling of being on a swing that babies find very comfortable, and most of them will quiet down if they've been crying.
Yeah, OK. 所以现在老师告诉我们一个技巧哦，来在第二段这个地方，他第一句话就告诉你说 ，When babies are crying and the reasons aren't clear， 好，如果说今天小朋友在哭，然后原因不明的情况下 ，try picking them up， 好，试着把他们抱起来 ，and rocking them gently， 好，轻轻的摇一摇他们，好，或许在这种 on the swing， 就是在那种在摇晃的情况当中，小朋友觉得很舒服，慢慢的，他可能哭声呢就不会这么大了，甚至到后来会安静下来。
Walking around with them may calm them as their focus is drawn to the motion or changing environment. If you rock your baby, you're probably standing. Well, if you get tired of that too, and the baby is still crying, well, walk around with the baby. This is a new feeling and a changing of its posture. And if its eyes are open, it will see different things that may calm the baby down too.
没错 ，distract them, right? 所以这句话就是说了 ，walking around with them。好，也许如果今天摇摇晃晃的在原地摇晃，你可能也会累，然后他可能觉得摇晃不够。你看 ，walking around with them 就是带他们到处走一走呢 ，may calm them。好，说不定可以让他们安静下来。As their focus is drawn to the motion or changing environment， 好，因为他们的注意力可能被这些外面，你可以带他到处走嘛，他有机会看到不同的这种景象啊，不同的环境啦等等，他呢也许注意力被吸走了，就忘记哭了，他就慢慢就安静下来，这也是一种方法哦。
Speaking to babies in a soft voice can also be effective. You don't want to be quiet. I'm trying to get to sleep.You might feel like you want to say that, but don't. You have to be gentle with babies. They can't help it. They're in a bad situation. You try to make it better. And sometimes the picture I have is of usually the mother who spends most of her time with a new baby, singing to the baby, or if she doesn't feel comfortable singing, use a soft and gentle voice. There, everything's okay.Mommy's here, that sort of talk.
所以在这边的话呢，他就告诉你说 ，speaking to babies in a soft voice， 好，轻声的对小朋友说话，去安抚他呢 ，can also be effective， 也是很有效的办法哦。事实上是在那个学册里面曾经有考过那个摇篮曲。好，摇篮曲的这个缘起哦，等等。那其实有机会的话 ，lullabies， 好，你有机会的话，也可以跟这个主题可以稍微配合的去看一下。你只要找 lullabies， 好，这个字的话，你就可以找到这个摇篮曲它那一篇的这个阅读测验哦。那在这边的话，就是轻声的对小朋友说话，也会非常有帮助。
Other methods include giving babies a warm bath to help them relax, or wrapping the baby in a blanket.To give them a sense of security. Well, methods are ways to do things. So in addition to speaking in a soft voice, singing a lullaby, making sure their posture is a comfortable one, you may give them a warm bath, warm water. Remember, babies were inside the mother for 9 months or so in a liquid.They were floating in a liquid, so putting them into bath water, not hot and certainly not cold. The way you can tell, my mother taught me, put your elbow into the water because your hands may have a different reaction. If your elbow feels comfortable, that's the right temperature to put the whole baby in. And you can buy a little bathtub for a baby, or wrap the baby in a blanket.It may be cold, or it just wants to feel some outside pressure on it. as when it was in the womb, W-O-M-B, B 不发音的 W-O-M-B, womb. It was floating and feeling comfortable there. Well, wrapping it in a blanket may also give it a feeling of safety, security, and warmth.
Yeah， 没有错。所以说小朋友在子宫待了9个多月嘛，对不对？所以说他习惯里面的那种状态。你看到他现在告诉你讲说 ，Other methods include giving babies a warm bath to help them relax。所以想想看，老师刚刚提到说，他以前在这个子宫里面，他可能是一个很那种比较在液体里头的环境，所以如果你给他一个温水澡，让他洗一洗，感受一下，他可能会回到那种当初在妈妈肚子里面。好，那种安全的感觉。另外呢 ，or wrapping the baby in a blanket， 也许用毯子把它包裹起来，好，把 baby 包裹起来，它会有一些外在那种舒服的压力，把它身体包裹着 ，to give them a sense of security， 让它会有安全感。其实这两项呢，其实都是跟它这个让这个 baby 回到好像当初在妈妈肚子里头那种感觉一样。另外，老师提到 womb 这个字 ，W-O-M-B。B 不发音 ，womb 就是这个妈妈的子宫。
Okay, that's it for this paragraph. We have one more, but let's take a short break first. Okay, our final paragraph. Typically, babies who are recently born cry a lot. Well, this is typical. This is normal. It's not your fault if you're a new parent. You have to get used to that. Every hour or two, on average, typically, a baby will cry, maybe just a little, maybe a lot.
没错，所以 typically 就是一般来讲哦，好 ，babies who are recently born cry a lot， 就是刚生出来的小 baby 啊，你不用想了，一定是天天哭，常常哭，好，照三餐哭，哭的这种频率是一定是比较高的。
On average, as I said, that's typically.Babies cry about 2 hours a day for the first 3 months. So as I said, don't worry about this. See what you can do. And maybe everything you do doesn't work, but it's normal. It's natural for babies to cry, especially when they are very, very young.
没错，所以新生儿啊很容易哭。然后他告诉你说 ，on average， 一般平均来讲呢。Babies cry about 2 hours a day， 好，一天要哭2小时。For the first 3 months， 好，意思就是出生前的这个3个月啦，好，头3个月这个时间呢，他们每天平均要哭2小时。所以如果觉得你什么都做了，该做都做了，但是他还在哭，也不要太觉得说啊完了怎么办？因为他们平均就是要哭这么长的时间。
The crying usually begins to decrease.After the first 6 weeks. Now, we just mentioned 3 months. Well, that's 12 weeks. So for the first 6 weeks or so, there's very little you can do. After that, the baby will naturally cry less and less as time goes by.
它是好消息哦，他还告诉你说，the crying usually begins to decrease， 好，就是指慢慢开始减少。After the first 6 weeks， 好，就是指说到头6个月，应该6个礼拜，好，到第7个礼拜开始之后呢，他的哭的那个频率好像慢慢往下降了，会开始往下降。
As a parent or caregiver, it is important to be patient and pay attention to a baby's needs and feelings. So if you are a parent, or if you are helping, if my daughter had a baby and I was living with her and her husband, here I am. I raised 2 babies already anyway, so I can help out. I would be called a caregiver, as well as grandpa or grandfather. So if you're trying to help a young mother with her difficult baby, crying baby, or a baby with colic, it is important to be patient. This is true, I think, in life for everybody, but especially with the baby. It's not the baby's fault. The baby is not trying to make you angry or tired or upset. Pay attention to its needs and feelings and try from that angle, is there something you can do? If nothing works, well, it will stop crying after a while, so just be patient.
呀，没有错，好，耐心是最重要的。他就告诉你说了 ，as a parent or a caregiver， 好，这个 parent 如果是不管是身为新手父母啦，或者是保姆啦，或者像老师一样还帮忙带孙子啦，哈 ，it is important to be patient， 好，很重要的是就是要有耐心 ，and pay attention to a baby's needs and feelings， 慢慢去认真的去观察，去注意到说这个小朋友的需要。好，或者是他的小朋友的感受，那怎么样需要可能是他的那个身体可能凹到啦，或者等等。我们刚刚不是讲到 in an uncomfortable position， 那可能身体上的需要，或者是心情 ，maybe 这个小朋友觉得累了，或觉得你要陪我玩了。好，这个情况下就是 feelings。好，所以这边的话，我们就学会了如何去处置，然后知道小朋友哭的时间平均来讲就是比较长。
Okay, that's it for our second day. We never have more than 2 days for a lesson. But that is this month's science article in 2 days. We've enjoyed helping you understand it, and we hope you've enjoyed and benefited from learning it. Until our next program, bye-bye.